Virginie and Benoit here, and this is our quantum coaching session. We're taking your questions. We want to interact with you, so please put in comments. We're live right now on YouTube and on Facebook. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm just checking first that the live works, because we had some kind of, last time we had some technical issues. So just to be sure that
live is working, chat's working.
Okay, I don't see anything. So
all good. It's working.
It's all good.
The live.
It's all good. We're live.
Okay. I see it. That's good. That's cool. Perfect. Fantastic. I mean, I see it on, I don't know where.
So you guys tuning in here know that we kind of represent 3 different geographical locations, kind of bringing different perspectives from different parts of the world. You know, I'm based in Sedona, Arizona, and then Virginie's in, you want to talk? You guys tell where you're based.
I'm in Paris, France, and yeah, it's cool. Yeah, well, I'm happy to do that.
And I'm in Oakland, California, across the bay from San Francisco on a beautiful California day. And we wanted to start, Rainey.
Yeah, we wanted to start this session by just kind of creating the space and making sure that we're shedding everything that doesn't serve us. So if you're joining in with us now, or maybe you're tuning in later, we're just going to invite you to take a moment to close your eyes and just become aware of your breathing. Just become present to your belly, getting larger with every inhale, emptying with every exhale. Bringing more and more light in as you inhale. And with every exhale, just releasing anything that does not serve you, anything inauthentic. Release stories, beliefs, just shed all of those things that you've been holding on to and allow your authentic self to be fully here. We also invite our highest vibrational guides, masters, and angels to be with us. We invite your angels and guides to be with us too, so that we can be of service for the highest good of all that is. So be it, so it is. Namaste.
So it is.
Thank you, Rainey.
You're welcome.
So, what's going to happen today? Did we get any questions beforehand? Did you receive anything, Benoit, Rainey?
You know, we did receive a question that kind of taps into the topic of liberation. And, you know, as we were talking in that space setting about releasing anything inauthentic, we had a viewer ask us, hey, can you give us like 3 tips or 3 tools for being more authentic? How do we shed what's inauthentic so that we can be more of who we really are? And I think, you know, as I was talking to this person, there's a lot of depression out there about people who are not fully able to be who they feel inside, like they're putting on a role, or they're behaving the way they're supposed to, or they think they're supposed to, but something inside of them feels like it's dying because it's not being heard or seen.
What's coming through is the same thing, is the dare of expressing our vulnerability. And as we mentioned before during some quantum conversation, is the Brené Brown talk, The Power of Vulnerability, which is amazing. It's a great talk to watch and rewatch, because you're always going to learn something. We've been taught that if we are vulnerable, it's a weakness that we're going to lose. But life is not a battle. Life is a flow. We're 80% of water, so it's like a river. And a river is not battling to go through the course of its life. So that's one thing. And also is what's coming through that I've been seeing actually quite recently in different questions I've been receiving, was about how do I release my thoughts? my toxic thoughts. First of all, you are not the thoughts. It's just passing by. For some people that have been reading The Power of Now of Eckhart Tolle, it's a great tool. Just open the book once in a while. You don't have to read it like as novel or something. Just open it. You will always learn something. And you are not the thoughts. So what I used to do a lot was very much, okay, this is not my thought. I am not the thought. So let's take an example. You are sad about something. I am not the sadness. The sadness is not me. I'm just carrying that just like I would carry a rock. So if I don't speak out, if I don't take that rock and put it outside, then at one point I cannot move forward anymore. I cannot walk anymore because my backpack is so heavy. So it's just like really to take that rock and say, okay, you are not me. I put you here, or I put you there, but I don't want you anymore. So it's just to let go of that thought. So whether it's sadness, guilt, whatever it is, anything toxic, even projection, even like past stories, even knowledge, even attachment. I mean, all sort of thoughts that are not into the now. Just say, you are not me. I am not you.
Michael Beckwith has the most amazing description of dealing with thoughts that I've ever heard. And that's like envisioning that you're standing next to this, you're at this big glass aquarium and you're looking in at all this water, right? And you're seeing these beautiful fish come by and just kind of moving into the water and noticing the fish are thoughts going by, but we're the water, right? We're just the water. They're just fish swimming by. So you just observe them and they hold no attachment to them.
Mm-hmm.
And just connect to that water. I just love that image because it gives that sense of stillness,
I gave the picture to one of my male clients this morning about being a bad tennis player and the thought being the tennis ball. But you're a bad tennis player, so you're just missing the thoughts. You loved it. So I think everyone has to see the picture. I love the aquarium thing. It's a very good. I didn't know that story, and it's great. It's fabulous. And I think everyone has to pick. I used to use the monkey mind and try to just seeing those monkey falling on their bicycle, doing this race and falling on the bicycle, so they will not bother my journey anymore. So everyone has to find their own trick to let the go. For Benoit, I think you have also your own trick on that.
There are many tricks. I was just like downloading on this authenticity concept. It's while you were explaining all this, and that's why I don't have a right answer straight to your question. What I was coming to is just more the inner conflict, because it's something that I can relate to.
My number 9, my favorite number 9.
Those inner conflicts that raise the question is like, what's that voice? Which voice am I listening to? How many voices do I have? Why do I have voices contradicting themselves? Which one is my authentic self? Or are they all my authentic self fighting with each other? And being able to come back into the moment, simple trick for me is it's focusing on breath, finding a point of focus, something to look at, and then while staring at it, taking a deep breath and focusing on the breath to stop the thoughts. And then from there, I can start figuring out what thought's going on, where it belongs, and being able to. The key is really to be able to make the difference between the thoughts and my true self, speaking to myself. And in my work, I bring back people to their emotions. Like when you stop your thinking machine, what is it that you feel inside? What is that feeling? And that feeling is the one that's pointing to the authentic self. That's our higher self that's communicating with our body through emotions. And once I identify the feeling, then I can start to, well, I'm looking in the true mirror. I'm looking at a true reflection of myself. And there I can start the journey to quiet the other voices that are not serving my highest purpose. And then listen to these inner messages that are trying to point me into the right direction. These are the immediate pointers that I have.
Well, and, you know, getting away from the city, you know, getting as far away as you can from technology. I know, like, when I went up to Yellowstone in Montana, where there's like nothing, that's where it was like, okay, I was in the national park. There were no cell phone towers in the national park. You know, it was like I was really, really with nature. And that's where Soul Family kind of downloaded. It was like I was able to hear something because there weren't 1,000 different voices in the ethers, in the, I don't know, radio waves or what have you, that I had to decipher. So I know that's not feasible for everyone to get far away from the city, but every now and then it can feel really nice to really go somewhere secluded.
But also sometimes to release and to let go, and it's what we did in the session yesterday, is to have your secret space, basically. So you can visualize, for instance, for me, it's to be in some sort of floating mat on the Ganga with the sunshine. That's my thing. And then I can, you know, I know, like, I'm super safe. I'm into the secret river. You know, I'm floating in the river. I'm super safe with the sunshine, and that's my place where I let go all my thoughts. So sometimes, just even if you, let's say, you're working in a bank, you're working on a trading floor, okay, that's going to be kind of hard to let go, right? And to be authentic, because it's so conditioned, and there's all this mind manipulation and all of that. So how do you do? Why don't you can be in front of your desk. I used to do that in front of my desk, putting my hand like that, you know, like almost falling asleep, and just, you know, just centering myself into visualizing a secret place, but would be my secret place. And then it's all those beliefs that are in relation to what's coming through to share is the beliefs that are in connection with, if I tell my truth, I will be judged, I will be rejected. If I tell who am I, or what I think, or how I see the experience, I will be excluded from the clan. I will no longer belong to the family. I will, whether it's like a work family or friends or family, or it doesn't matter. But if I say, let's say, I'm weird or I think that way, because weird doesn't mean anything at the end, but let's say I think that way, or I tend to act like that. But if it's not like everybody else in the family or in the business, or, you know, thing, or in the friends' habits, you will be judged. It's like, oh, she's weird. And you don't drink wine. Oh, you're boring. You know, it's just like, why am I boring if I don't drink wine? You know, it's saying, so all those beliefs that, okay, you can say whatever you want. And if you are centered, and if you are confident, and if you trust yourself, then you won't be judged. And that's, for me, a massive key is trust, which is probably one of the hardest key to embody. But it's the most amazing one.
You know what you're bringing, what I realized was this really important topic, this is totally related, is that this is actually so predominant in our society today, because we're living in a world that is now divided into two different realities. People believe one thing and people believe another one, whatever that is. And that's as a result, people are afraid to speak their truth, fear of being judged, for being different from the others, basically. So people basically give up their authentic self to fit in with, you know, the collective beliefs, with whatever their friends say, or whatever the family says, so, you know, they can stay in everybody's good grace, and moving further and further away from their authentic self. And poof, it's actually gives me chills when I think about this today.
It's
And think about like think about the generational, you know, we have so much cellular memory of oppression and yeah, I mean, think about witch trials and everything, all the people who were burned at the stake and awful things happened. I mean, it's there's no wonder we're hesitant to be our authentic self, because we don't know what the repercussions might be. You know, just that it's like, I'm sorry, just that like it's a subconscious drive though.
But it's manifesting a lot lately, especially with the COVID, with the vaccine. I mean, pro-vaccine, against vaccine, you know, the passport, the things, the lies, the truth, you know, what's real, what's not real, what's happening, the variants, all those kind of things. And so many people's like, okay, I'm thinking that, but in that group, they're thinking they're on the other side. Shall I express myself? And I've been experiencing a few dinner lately where people were not thinking the same way. They were having a different views. And at first it was like, I could feel their resistance to share and to talk. I was like, no, it's very interesting actually to, okay, what is your view? If there's no judgment, we can share. And this is really the judgment that will allow, when you go out of the judgment, that will allow people to be in their trust, in trusting themselves, into trusting to express themselves. If we remove that, if we remove the judgment, you can be in that trust and you can allow yourself to share whatever's coming through.
And there really should be no judgment. I mean, unless it affects you personally, there's no reason to judge it, right? Live and let live.
Even if it's affecting you, why should you judge
well,
yourself?
If it affects you and it's interfering with your space, then I would say that's a boundary issue.
Like what, for example?
Well, let me think.
Because I realized that every time I was judging myself in the past,
yeah,
I will basically slow down my journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And every time, whether it was, I don't have any.
I know, sorry. If someone tries to force vaccine, that's a boundary issue. Like it's live and let live until it comes into my place, right? Until it comes into my space. Then I'm going to judge that because that's affecting me. I'm making a judgment about how I want to live. So I think
judge that. That's interesting. I would not judge it.
Oh, I'm not going to get a vaccine. There's no way.
Yeah, but why should it be a judgment? It's just a choice. There's no judgment there.
Okay.
Well, the judgments. This is where I believe there. What would help us human beings is to put judgment back in its place, where the judgment is a tool that we have that allows us to make choices. We need we use our judgment to make choices. The thing is that in our society, we got lost into judgment thoughts, which is different from judgment choices. That's we're trapped into judging other people, projecting our own shit basically onto other people, the way I like to put it. And it's so easy to judge other people, which in reality is really a projection of our own judgment of ourselves. And this is where we move out of being our authentic self, is when we just take our own inner things and then projecting on other people, which is very confusing. It causes chaos in the people who are receiving those judgments because they're taking it for themselves. Or, when we receive a judgment from somebody else, then all of a sudden it becomes my issue. And unless I totally agree with that judgment, then it's going to create a lot of confusion. And then I'm going to throw back my own judgments at it. And the next thing you know, we are so far from our authentic self, and we're just getting lost into the collective judgments that are just making us all crazy, and people get depressed and sad and all this.
There's a word, Benoit, coming up nonstop when you're talking. It's when you say judgment is comparison. And I think as long as you compare, which is not into the divine flow, it's completely comparison. Judgment is coming from ego space. So it's not from the heart, because in conditional love, there's no comparison. So it's just like you are who you are. And you accept the person as a whole. So you accept yourself. If you into this unconditional love towards yourself, you accept yourself into this whole. And the comparison is really something that I see a lot in coaching, speaking about that. How people will compare and to the outside, they will compare two things on the outside. Why this person has this, or why this person can do that, and why these things happen all the time, or it's always a comparison.
Well, it's like, why do we care so much about what other people think? I mean, that's like the disease of everyone's mind, worrying about what other people think.
I love to say that thoughts are just thoughts. They come and they go, and can be fireworks in the mind. And feelings are the only thing that really matters. I don't care about my own thoughts. I certainly don't care about other people's thoughts. Because I don't even care about my own thoughts.
Trust vibes.
Vibes.
I trust vibes. I don't trust words. I trust vibes.
Exactly. Yes.
And feelings as being a sensory feeling as opposed to like an emotional feeling, right? Because it was interesting. I was watching Initiation on Gaia last night. Do you ever watch that with Matteo Stefano or something? Anyway, it's really interesting to go into like Atlantis and Lemuria and stuff. But yeah, I mean, he just had such a profound episode last night that was just, it was moving in so many ways. And I just kind of, I don't know, it reminded me of, what we're talking about here, and about worrying about what people think. And he was saying that like all of our programming, societal programming, these things we're talking about shedding, it's in our emotional body. That's where it's stuck. That's what
we are not the emotion, and we are not the emotion. So from that point of view, then.
Well, and that's what keeps us stuck in 3D, that programming. So there's something about like, distinguishing the sensation of a feeling from an emotion.
There's an exercise that we can do here, the three of us right now, because when we were preparing for this talk on judgment and all, we brought up rejection as being, the fear associated to the judgments. And so the rejection manifests in us as a feeling, I guess. So how do I identify that feeling? Is that sensory experience because something's going wrong inside our body, and then it's starting to trigger some pains, physical pains in the body? Or is it an emotional experience where, I don't know, tears start to come out? Trying to identify the rejection.
Okay, what's coming through is like, it's interesting. I didn't know that. Wow. Okay. What they are telling me right now, it's basically you have the experience. Okay, in front of you, you have the experience. Then the emotion will rise. That will be the first manifestation. Then you will have the body that will manifest. If you are not refined or tuned in enough to connect with the emotion that will not be your heart, your divine self, then your body will start manifesting. And we can see that, for example, okay, wow, that's cool. I didn't know they had layers. I did this. I love learning things at the same time as you guys. So basically, and it manifests like that. So we have the experience, then we have the emotion arising, and afterwards, if we don't connect to the emotion to shift whatever pain, beliefs, and patterns are behind this emotion, then our body will start manifesting. Let's say, typically like back pain. Okay, you don't dare to express that it's too much for you and that you cannot carry everything and you have too much on your back and etc on your shoulder, and then you're going to start having back pain. So then your body's going to manifest, and your body is going to manifest more and more and more and more, and we know that the body talks. So that's where I would, yeah. And what is interesting also is what Benoit you saying, and I'm asking the question at the same time, between feelings and emotions.
While you're asking, Alini said hi. She typed in and said hi.
Oh, cool. I don't see
Go see.
It's hi, Alini. It's interesting because feelings and emotions, to come back to that, what they're sharing with me right now is like feelings comes from the heart and emotion come from the mind, from the ego space.
That feels right. Absolutely.
So just, these fine lines between what do I feel that comes from my heart, from my higher self, and what is the emotion that will trigger something that needs to be shifted, that needs to.
Because I think what you're getting at is that the emotional body can be programmed, but feelings cannot.
Mm-hmm.
That's powerful. That's why there's all that fear programming, all that low vibrational programming. But what really resides in our heart, that power, that sensory power, unconditional love, can't be touched.
I have like a download coming. I don't know if it's the space to say it. It's a sensitive subject. I believed for a long time, I believe that the soul could not be controlled. But it seems like certain medicine could actually, what they're showing me right now is like that it's almost like the soul would fade away and the mind will take over the soul. But normally, unless you are too much affected by entities and mind control, your soul will always be stronger. So your heart, your higher self will always be stronger than your mind. So you can always talk to your soul and say, just like, help me, or ask your soul to talk to your guides, or to whatever, and help, to help you. And that's that's what's coming through right now. It's really helping you to detach from this emotional, what was the word you were using, Rainey? Pattern
Programming. Societal programming.
Yes, it is that. So unless there's too many entities and mind control, then the soul will always be it's like the light over the dark, or it's just that. Yeah,
the soul is our own consciousness. Let's say that's our higher self, our higher consciousness. The consciousness is the word I believe that can bring peace and balance in this whole thing. Is that our body itself has its own consciousness. Every part of our body has its own consciousness. My heart has its own consciousness. Even my glasses have their own consciousness. And all the bacteria inside our body have their own consciousness. There's the story of people who become depressed after they stop drinking alcohol. Well, all of the bacteria that have been feeding on the alcohol of the alcoholics are looking for the alcohol when the alcoholic stops drinking, and the millions of bacteria that are looking for the alcohol are just saying, where is my alcohol? Where is my alcohol? Well, I need to eat something. Maybe I'm going to start eating that body. And so the body starts to feel like shit and maybe like it's not worth living. And so we're listening to the consciousness of a bacteria. The most powerful consciousness of them all is our own. And what I have experienced is that it's okay to speak my truth to myself out loud with my own voice. I'm not crazy when I speak to myself. I'm actually very sane when I speak to myself.
I'm going to bounce on that because.
And then we have a comment.
We should never forget that we are experiencing life in the body into this, this physical body. It's just an experience. It's just an experience on Earth. It's not the full.
Right. We don't need to be attached to it.
It's not the full story. It's just like one chapter. I think I posted something like that yesterday on Instagram. I think it's just like, it's just a chapter of your life. What the life could be. It's not specifically this mundane life. It's just like the life, afterlife, and afterlife. I don't know where I'm going here.
Okay, so I'm going to read Alexander Thor. Thank you so much for your comment. He says, I have been a holistic practitioner and psychic for many years on the capital of healing in Sedona.
Sorry.
I reached a point of burnout and depression on the last year in my work. And well, I shut the whole thing down to heal. I will take time off until July to heal my mind, body, and spirit that I feel has been very heavy. Hey, Alexander, and overused. No matter what protection mantra or pieces of crystals I had to wear, we are at the end of the day still human. We feel everything we do. To shut off the feeling and be emotionless is not something that I can do. Emotions are a huge part of intuition. Practitioners need a healing modality. I'm writing this now. So I think, like maybe just talk a little bit about that differentiation, right?
Okay. What did you say about intuition and emotions, right? The emotion will help you understand and make the difference between your intuition and your mind.
You're making a distinction, or we are making a distinction between the emotion and the feeling. So the sensory feeling, I think, is what Alexander, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, but you know what I mean? I think that's what you're talking about, is being that connects you to your intuition as a healing practitioner. He's like saying, I don't want to shut down my emotions. And I don't think we're saying shut down your emotions. I'm just saying, I think we're saying
you cannot shut down your emotion. You can shift them so you don't get affected. So let's say, for example, an example was a couple of years ago, I tended to get angry quite easily, and I could like get into some sort of space like now I don't get affected because I got out of judgment, I got out of some beliefs and everything, so I don't get this emotion of anger any longer. So the emotion will manifest when there's a trauma behind. If you don't touch the trauma, so you can try through, as it was saying, crystal or different mantra or stuff, but it has to be embodied at one point. It has to be shifted from inside, from within. And some people, and I saw some people like that, I'm like, I'm sorry, I cannot help you as a coach, as a healer, because you're going to try always to heal from things coming from the outside, and the healer are going to give you keys, but they are not going to open the door for you. And that's a lot of healer get trapped into those also, and it's just some sort of what Benoit was saying, consciousness. At one point, okay, we bring this awareness to this new level of consciousness where we can feel, okay, there's a healing here. There's something happening within, and it has to come from within, from the core of like deep within.
And I would just say, like, I think that, I'm going to stand kind of behind what we said, because the emotional plane is where so much programming takes place. That if it really becomes our job as healing practitioners to distinguish, like, is this really coming from me? Is this feeling sensory in my body, or is this something coming, is this an emotion being implanted in my mind, like fear, whatever? I mean, yes, we're human, we're going to feel emotion, but allow yourself to feel things that are really truly from you. I think that's the distinction that we're making.
But most of the emotion, if you look at the emotion, there's a belief behind, and a belief is programming.
Exactly. Big talk.
If someone is giving me an emotion where there's no belief behind, I would be like, wow. I would love to have this example.
That won't happen.
I would love to have this example, because I don't know any emotion where there's no belief behind, to my knowledge, with my level of consciousness. But maybe there is.
Well, there's beliefs. That's how we are programmed. That's how we work in society. The challenge that I see in figuring out what voice is talking, where are my feelings, emotions coming from, is really, especially when we are, I guess, some form of healing practitioner, is to find that balance between our mind, our body, and our soul, or I'd say our soul, our emotional body, and our physical body. And there is, if we're confused about where the messages are coming from, then we're not fully aligned. There's one of them that's out of balance, that we're neglecting, that we're shutting down. And most of the time we spend, in our society today, we spend most of our time trapped in our body. So in our listening to the messages from our physical body, and the emotions that are coming from our soul, from our consciousness, are really trying to break through all the thoughts and all the confusing messages that are coming from those beliefs that we have, that can prevent us from really feeling the true message from our emotions, which is our intuition, basically.
And a trick also to give to Alexander, right? That was Alexander. Yeah. So the difficulties with holistic people, spiritual, people that are on a spiritual path, that's been working a lot on them with different therapy, is the mind is going to be, and I can see quite a lot of them getting into depression, because the mind, when I speak about the mind, I don't speak about the intelligence. I'm speaking about the ego mind that is toxic. It's going to be so subtle, so refined, and so sneaky. Oh, God, I hate it.
Very sneaky.
Oh my God, it's so sneaky. Sometimes I'm like, shut up. How come I got trapped? It's like, you were so good on this one. Sometimes I talk to it and it's like, God, you are so good here. So I think like people that have been working so much onto this spiritual path, they get this ego became like so close. It's like the radio, the old radio, and it's very close to the perfect sound, but it's still a bit like murky or something. And that's where those people have to refine, and they have to work more on their trust. And that where the trust is a key, because the more you trust yourself, the less this little, how can I say? You see what I mean, right?
The ego voice. No, it is. Well,
it's like, it's like the little, it's like the small piece of dust, that you don't see, and suddenly it's like, shit, I didn't see it. Less, I don't know. It's like, when if you take like an arrow and you put it in your hand and it hurts, right? But sometimes you take the raspberry, the little raspberry, and there's a little refined thing, and it gets into your finger, and you do like that, and it hurts. You see what I mean? It's like a little. It's a
Something
very
annoying, totally. Like
it's very annoying, but and you cannot see it, and it's so little, and you can take even tweezers and glasses like a magnifier and everything, and you cannot see the thing, and then you touch your finger like that, and you're like, it's annoying, and it's so.
What do you want to say, Rainey? What do you want to say?
Well, I just wanted to say to anyone out there who's watching, if you're on YouTube and you would like to comment, please sign into your YouTube account and then your comments will show up for us. If you're just watching with no account, it won't show your comments. And I did just want to read what Alexander responded, and I thought this was a really good point. He said, in today's times, we as healers are also feeling the collective.
Yep.
Yes.
Which is so true, you know. And then he also said, ego can be brought to 0 point if we are not considering what we believe should happen, allowing that we are all different and allowing that we are all consciousness without possessing the need to control.
Yes.
Ego is politics. Yes, we agree.
Definitely. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Can I call you Alex?
Sorry.
No, there's something that came up while we were talking about all this, which is from one of my recent sessions, related to feeling depressed, which is really a chemical imbalance at the end of the day inside the body.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the something, the big message that came through in my session was about the fact that everything we say, everything we do, everything we think, everything we put in our body affects our chemical, affects the chemistry of our body. It sends messages to all the different parts, the cells, the nervous system gets activated, all the endocrine glands release chemicals here and there, and everything is constantly, it's a multi-billion-dollar chemical factory that's constantly working and reacting to everything we do, everything we say, everything we ingest. Being conscious of that physical balance and bringing some consciousness into everything we say, everything we do, everything we think, everything we put in our body is also very empowering because it allows us to reclaim our own sovereignty. And then that peace starts to settle in, and then the chemistry happens much more balanced, and then the depression goes away because we regain really our own power, we regain our own self.
Well, we will put on the website soon. It's something that we started working on in France with a friend of mine. And I spoke briefly to you guys, to Benoit and Rainey, I think, about the frequency of the food, of the element we putting into our body. And we're going to put those in French and in English into for members of a wish link, so you can have access and to see what will raise your frequency depending on what you put into your body, and also how to raise the frequency of the food when the frequency of the food itself is not so great. How to all those kind of things, and how to get in touch with those sensations. Like, okay, let's say I eat this. What is my reaction in my mood, in my feelings, in my emotions, and all those kind of things. So it's something that I'm that we're working on right now, out of many of the things.
And then Rainey, you can remind everyone what they should do with their water.
Yep, absolutely. So it's very important to well, first off, you want to have clean water. So if you, yay, we got the water code symbol here. You want Virginie? So these bottles you can get from bluebottlelove.com, bluebottlelove.com. Anyway, my friend Kaden makes them, and she's got all sorts of different designs and sacred geometry and words and everything on them. But just real briefly, I mean, you guys know Dr. Emoto did all of these tests on water and experiments on water. And what he learned was that water would create beautiful crystals in response to beautiful words, and kind of ugly shapes in response to ugly words. So the things that happen when you show water sacred geometry like this is like it turns into beautiful crystalline shapes inside of your body. So you're drinking in information, you're drinking in wisdom, you're drinking in energy and fuel for your cellular body and water molecule.
Rainey, would you put under the video, on the replay, under the video, if you can put the website to order the bottle? And
yep.
And for those who are in France who want to order some bottle, maybe we can do
that's international
mass order in Paris.
She might actually have bottles for sale in Paris somewhere. Have you?
I haven't seen anything. I haven't. No, I looked on the website, but I didn't see anything.
Okay.
So, but yeah. So yeah. So the the water will help raise the frequency, and if we raise our frequency with the food, with the water, with our trust and positive vibes and everything else, yes, life.
For anything, I would say for anything that we put in our body, that I believe it can change anyone and everyone's life. If we're conscious about what we put in our body, we do it by choice, whether it's something that's judged by others as good or bad. At the end of the day, when it goes inside our body, it's all the outside judgments have to be irrelevant. The only judgment that matters is the one that we put on that thing that we're putting in our body, whether it's a cream on our skin or something that we inhale from smoking, or any food that goes in there, any juice that we put in our body, we can change. You can even change the energy of a fast food burger. Doesn't matter. And
there's something else.
At peace with everything we put in our body. There we go.
There's something else also that's coming up. It's on keys also, and that will help therapists or holistic people. It's to ground. So by whether it's yoga, whether it's tree hugging, whether it's just visualizing roots, standing up, going from our feet to like deep down into earth, is right now it's very with the global energy on earth and the collective. When, for example, if we take the emotion of the collective emotion, let's say, for example, sadness. There's been quite a few moments where we felt the fear or the sadness or, this kind of things, or being tired. And we can really like feel it's not us, but it's the collective. And in those moments, I do believe there's two things that will help a lot. Is, hi Yuli, how are you? And I do believe that there will be a big change on what we're going to carry if we ground or if we breathe and if we drink more water, all those kind of tricks.
Yeah, and I mean, I think what Alexander is kind of tapping into, especially here in Sedona, it's like, it's the front lines of the battle, so to speak. So there's all sorts of energies, like it's just as much good energy, you've got negative energy. So navigating that as an empath and a healer can be challenging, because it's like you've got yours, you've got programming, and then you've got the collective, and then you've got the client you're working on, and you're trying to decipher among all of this, what's yours, what's theirs, So it's I would say don't stop wearing the crystals because they help, don't stop drinking the water. It's like, we have to remember we signed up for this. It wasn't going to be easy. And we just have to do our best to hold that space of absolute harmony in the midst of whatever craziness is going on around us, doing our best. Let the fish come by.
It's also before session, if you're a therapist, before session, when you give session, would be to put a shield, a protecting shield around you, so you don't get the energy. It's not only like a lot of therapists will wash their hands afterwards or will they release, but it's also just before the session to put a shield, protective shield. so you don't get the emotion or the pain or the entity of the person you're healing.
So, I was recently rereading the water code, and in there it's like, how often do we have to shield ourselves? And the answer was pretty regularly, like multiple times a day. Like you don't get to let your guard down and just say, oh, I'm safe. No, you're here. Like it's Earth. Like we've got to keep shielding. It's constantly right now. One day, hopefully not.
One of the person who taught me a lot and that I've been who guide me for like about 10 years now, and he helped us building this shield that opens and closes, and basically it opened by itself every 3 hours. So you have to just build this big shield around you. His name is Serge Boudboul, and he's really helped a lot of people onto protection. His big thing is energetic cleansing. So and really that you take the train, take the plane, go to a restaurant, which is not like something we do right now, but still, or you arrive somewhere at a dinner party and you feel the energy is very heavy, poof, close that shield, close it, just like protect yourself. And it means that you're not going to feel anything. You're just not going to be affected by the toxic energy of whatever is outside.
I was gonna say that there's so the protecting shield is one element, and still we are still receiving other people's energy in all our interactions. When the shield's open, when we touch people and all this, we're getting into each other's energy field all the time. Especially if we're in physical proximity, we are literally in each other's energy field, and we're exchanging energy. People who sleep in the same bed are melting their energies for the night, whether they like it or not. And so I always like to remind people of what dogs do. If you notice, if you pet a dog, the first thing they will do after you're done petting them, they will shake. They just release that energy that we give them that is not theirs.
Thank you. You do that all the time. It's like
anyway, so we have to release that energy. We have to release all this energy that is not ours. And there's one very powerful way, which is simply the grounding, and something that I've experienced and doing on a daily basis, ideally walking barefoot on the earth. Not concrete, not a street, not pavement, on the earth, on the grass, on soil, on sand. Sand is even better because you even have a whole physical realignment that happens from working on sand.
But apparently, even on concrete, apparently, the fact that you barefoot, even concrete is not that bad. It's actually
better than nothing. Yeah.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And I remember in Hong Kong, I was not aware of all of this at that time. It was like, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, something, but even more. Well, anyway, quite a while. And when you had those typhoon and big rain and everything, I was like, fuck the shoes. No, fuck the rain, save the shoes. So I was removing my shoes and walking barefoot in the street of Hong Kong. It was like, fuck the rain, save the shoes.
I just want to read a little bit more of what okay, so Alexandria, we're just going to call you Alex because now we know you're a female, okay? So Alex says that the shielding can wear us down too, because there's 10,000 seekers here in Sedona every week, and that shielding all day, every day, all the time, I want to let go and trust. That's my hope. My judgment gets in the way as it's my nature to judge. And she says, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. We love you.
So something about what Alex said is it's true. And because I asked the question many years ago to Serge on that matter, because when you, for example, you work in a hospital, you get affected. So you need to have like this shield nonstop. And even worse if you work in a psychic hospital. So what he said is it's very specific that because you need, it's like it's like it's the sort of cosmic immune system. If you keep your shield all the time, once it opens, you get affected by all the entity and you get attacked very easily. So you get sick, but not through bacteria. You get sick through entities and stuff. So it's true that it's important to learn to connect and to just push away the energy that you don't want to have. And the more you're going to be aligned with yourself, the more you're going to be into your trust, into unconditional love, into you inner guidance, the less you're going to be affected by anything.
Yeah, and I've just been and I've been getting to this place where I'm just like in the fifth dimension, you know, like there's not going to be anything here because I'm staying in such a high vibratory state of happiness and joy that I may not even run into anybody, you know. It's like I'm just going to keep focusing on that because that I know is how we're going to manifest this new reality.
Right.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's all right. It's all right. It links back to why I was talking about grounding, connecting with the earth, is to regain our inner balance, release that energy that is not ours, and then get centered again, and then become the true creator of our reality, where the shield is more like, the earth has its own shield that, if a meteor comes from outer space, it will burn through the atmosphere before it crushes us. And that's why we need this shield, because there's all these things coming out there. At the same time, we are the ones manifesting our reality from within. And if we stop being conscious of our own reality, of the reality that we are creating from within, from our heart, and then shield or no shield, everything, we're not in control anymore. So everything is kind of just coming anyway. So just going back to, if when we operate from within, then we're the ones creating our reality. So we don't really even need to be worried about what's happening around if we only start from within. And until we have found that balance, we definitely need all the shields possible, because we don't even know what's coming at us.
Well, we're the bridge. We're the bridges between 3D and 5D. And it's like, so what do we have to do? We have to do both. Yeah, we have to envision the world where we don't need shields at the same time where we're still putting up shields to make sure we're protected as we're making that journey. So I would love to be there. I don't think we're there fully yet, but I hope one day we can get to a point where we're not even thinking shields.
If we all trust each other, then we can trust. If we all trust ourselves, then we can trust each other, and we don't have to protect ourselves, because everybody comes from good intention. And this is where we are heading, right? This is the utopia world where we're all happy and we all dance and sing together and share beautiful meals.
When you were a kid, and you were so happy to be in a lift because you were pressing the button and it was going up and down. This is how I feel right now, moving from 3D to 5D all the time. I feel like I'm in the lift nonstop.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's like up and down, up and down. It's bipolar, it's like black and white, but it's like up and down, but not like down, like, you see what I mean.
Back to 3D, up to 5D.
It's the new moon. I'm bugging a little bit.
Time to set those intentions with the new moon.
I did that today and yesterday. Oh, and it's time for the meditation, the daily meditation. So this is something that I channeled about a month ago. So maybe we could do that together. It's like at 8 o'clock French time for 2 minutes. So it's basically very clear, a very short meditation. It's a healing meditation to raise the frequency of all on earth. So if you want to join us and to close your eyes, and I'm going to channel what's coming through for today's meditation. So may the divine crystalline light come through my crown chakra into my body to clear and cleanse every single cells of my body and my soul. from all toxic thoughts, pains, beliefs, and patterns that no longer serve me on my path. On all lives, past, present, and future, all dimensions, all levels, all plans. Let this light, divine crystalline light, clean and move and remove what no longer serves me. When I feel ready, I can let go of that light to irradiate and go out through my solar plexus chakra into the town that I'm in. So let's say Paris, and then France. So everybody, every earthlings, every living cells, every human beings can benefit if they wish to receive this healing light, so they can help them to raise their frequency. Let's continue with this light in every continent, oceans, seas, underworld, upperworld, in the air, for every earthlings, living cells, even ETs that will benefit from this healing. May you receive this light to remove what no longer serves you, for each of you and the collective, so that can create space to receive and to welcome highest level gift and guest for the best of all. May be it into the now moment.
Oh, so it is.
And so it is.
So this is something that I set my alarm every day at 8 o'clock, and I try to do it. So even if I'm on the phone with someone, it's only 2 minutes. And it's just to visualize this light coming through and then going out, so that you can basically share this light with everyone. And it's like a small journey, and you're not allowed to travel so much, so it's kind of going around the globe also. So that's kind of cool.
Well, and I just started envisioning it going all the way from the Earth out into the galaxy, out into the entire macroverse, clearing all of the garbage that has come from the Earth, you know, just cleansing all of that frequency so it's not affecting anyone else. That was beautiful.
The Earth,
That's why I've been downloading like underworld and upperworld and all those kind of different dimensions. And it's really something that came up, and it was like, and I remember I had like some people who were like, oh, I'm doing a meditation at 7:45. Can you do yours at 7:45? I'm like, no, I heard 8 for 2 minutes. Sorry. It's just like, do yours, join mine, whatever, you know, I can join yours, but it's just like 2 different things.
Well, and Yuli thanks you, Virginie, for the meditation.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So you can, and I had questions about this meditation that people was like, oh, who do I connect to? Where do I connect? And it's basically, you just set up your own alarm and you connect to yourself, seeing the collective, within love, into the whole, into this quantum field of being one in all in one. And you don't need to speak to someone or to connect to anything. It's just something that, it's for everyone. You can do it with your children. You can do it even at the conference. You close your eyes for 2 minutes, or you even with the eyes open. You know, I managed to do it. There's something that once I could not do it for a reason, and I just I was speaking with a person and I was visualizing the light at the same time. So the more you do it, the more you can do it pretty much everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So join us every day at 8 o'clock French time. And if you in Asia, what you can do is do this sort of, it's not really, it's some sort of quantum jump.
To be with it.
So you set your intention into connecting to this time as a collective. So you would be on the same timeline. And it would be, even though you do it at different time, it would be at the same time.
It's the quantum moment.
Yep. That would
Well, and what we could do maybe next time, maybe we do a quantum jump to like a future timeline.
Oh, that would be fun.
I think so. Like a really amazing utopian timeline, because we know we've done it. We did it in Lemuria. We can do it again.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow. Thank you, everybody who's tuned in. It's been such a pleasure. We will come at you again live soon. Until then, have an amazing week, and we love you.
We love you.
Love
Thank
you
you so much.
guys. Thank you for being.
Thank